Thank you for taking the time today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming here, and welcome to Treaty 1 territory.
Thank you for that. You know, this is such a momentous moment to see Wab Kinew elected as the first First Nations Premier of this province, the first provincial First Nations Premier in the country. How does that change the relationship, do you think, between Indigenous peoples in this area, in this treaty territory, with the provincial government?
Well, I think it's a signal that, you know, Canadians, Manitobans, you know, because I was a little bit apprehensive yesterday about what that would mean for our people, because it's been such a divisive campaign, especially when it came to the landfill. Very disheartening to, you know, to have to receive those flyers in your mailbox from the PC party, and I thought we advanced from that, right? And then you kind of have a moment in time where, you know, is racism and going to win, and is divisive dark politics going to win? And you kind of hold your breath yesterday, wondering, you know, at the same time, you have faith in young First Nations people that are seeing, you know, somebody like themselves that's rose to the top of a major political party in Manitoba, that he would become, you know, that he could become premier. And so I think you had, you know, twofold. You had all these young people that are ready to talk about reconciliation, even though they're going to be very hard discussions. And I think that the PCs with their antics opened up, you know, poked a big bear, which was young people that flocked to the ballot box. And as well, I think that many Manitobans are pretty, you know, I think that they're pretty balanced, and I think that it put a bad taste in their mouth when there was dark politics happening in this province. It was really hard to watch as a person, never mind me being First Nation or anything else, but just as a person watching that you'd be targeting voiceless women in landfills, and that their family having to watch that. Imagine that being your family, and you have to watch that through a political campaign. And yes, we have to talk about those things, but I don't know why it had to be front and center. It was unfortunate. It should have been just automatic that, yes, let's get to the table, let's work together. So, I mean, I commend, you know, the federal government today for making sure that those investments get to that family to start, you know, re-looking at, you know, coming back together and kind of having a refresh of what that means.
A refresh. And when it comes to the landfill site itself, how do you think that should proceed? What do you want to see happen now that you have the NDP coming into government? Well,
I think, you know, the NDP provincially now and the federal Liberals, you know, they need to get to the table together with the families, and of course with Chief Kyra Wilson, with Grand Chief Kathy Merrick of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, and come together in a good way. And I think that they have to find that path forward. So I think that they need some time to come together to you know, to agree on what's the next steps. And I'm not an expert in that, but I know that not talking about it and using it in a political platform was obviously very wrong, and it showed at the ballot box.
Having Wab Kinew sit in the Premier's office, of course, a historic moment, and for many people, a powerful moment. Where do you want to see, beyond the landfill search, what else do you want to see from this government? What do you think Wab Kinew and his cabinet need to prioritize as they begin their term?
Well, I think first and foremost, First Nations, you know, when it comes to the Council of the Federation meetings, when it comes to, you know, the First Minister's meetings, we're always left in the background, and we always have a meeting with all these premiers and the Prime Minister and all these ministers the day before, like as if we're little kids. And I think that it's, you know, we will, regardless if he's First Nations or not, we will be there pushing for a spot to make sure that our people have a full seat at the table, and that when they're talking about healthcare, when they're talking about education, when they're talking about the child welfare system in this country, that we have a seat at the table, just like like other levels of government, because we are governments. Our people are governments, and we can speak for ourselves. And we're happy that he's elected, but we also have expectations that hopefully he'll be an ally in our cause and our discussion on asking for a full seat at the table.
So do you look at this with a sense of hope or a sense of trepidation?
I think it's absolutely a sense of hope. I think things are changing. I think new leaders are rising up and new ways of thinking are rising up. That old mindset from 50 years ago has to be done and gone away with. I think we've seen that yesterday. Like I said, the dark politics and I think the divisive politics. People don't have a taste for that and an appetite for that anymore. And I think that all political parties in our country need to take heed of that and remember that people know, including the business community, including First Nations, that we all have to work together. And we have to work together even when it's really difficult and even when we have to have difficult discussions with each other. But I think with Wab being elected, that's hope. I think, after I know he was, a member of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And I think after that, because I remember 30 years ago, I'm aging myself now, but when I was a young girl listening to stats of what Canadians thought of us or how Manitobans thought of us and going through those, hearing those really tough issues and how people maybe didn't understand who we were, and to seeing now that we're moving in a good way. And I think it's through education, through awareness, through talking to each other.
I always appreciate our conversations. Thank you for the time today.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh.